ProRevenge on my entitled boss who tried to steal my invention. Welcome to /regrets, like and subscribe for more Reddit-like stories, enjoy. My boss tried to steal my startup, big mistake. I worked for a mid-sized tech company for almost 8 years. I was one of their senior engineers, and I genuinely liked the job at first. We were building automation systems for warehouse logistics, cool stuff. The kind of work that made me feel like I was part of the future. My team was solid, and I was constantly learning. The one downside? My boss. Let's call him Mr. K. He was the kind of guy who wore designer suits and dropped buzzwords like synergy and disruptive innovation, but couldn't code a basic script if his life depended on it. Smiled to your face, stabbed you in the back during performance reviews. But I played the game, stayed quiet, worked hard. About 2 years ago, I started working on a personal project outside of work. A self-optimizing routing system for warehouse robots, kind of like Waze but for forklifts and pallet movers. It used machine learning to reroute traffic, avoid collisions, and predict floor congestion based on historical data. It was cleaner, faster, and more scalable than anything our company was using. I didn't use a single company resource. All the code, diagrams, testing, even the prototype, done on my own time, using my own money and hardware. I plan to eventually turn it into a startup and maybe pitch it to investors once I had a solid MVP. My mistake? I casually mentioned it to a coworker, someone I had drinks with now and then. I trusted him. We were talking about side projects, and I just said I'd been working on something pretty cool related to warehouse routing systems. I didn't show him anything or give him full details. I figured it was harmless. 2 weeks later, Mr. K calls me into a meeting with HR. I walk in, and he's already got that smug look on his face. He starts talking about how impressed he is with the concept I've been developing, and says he's excited to bring it under the company's intellectual property portfolio. I blinked. What? He had absolutely no idea how much work I'd done or that it was 100% personal. I told him I built it outside work hours, on my own equipment. He pulls out the employee contract and highlights the inventions clause, which, get this, says that any invention that relates to the company's business belongs to them. Even if created on your own time. Yeah. I hadn't even remembered that line. It was buried in the fine print when I joined. I refused to hand it over. Told them it wasn't even developed with their tech or infrastructure. They told me I'd be making a big mistake. I left the meeting furious. That night, I called a lawyer friend. He looked over my contract and said the clause was vaguely worded, but in court, it could go either way. If the company could prove that the invention related to their field, they might have a case. He told me if I tried to sell it now, they'd likely sue. I was livid. My own boss was trying to steal my work. So I decided to play the long game. For the next 6 months, I played nice. I acted like I'd dropped the project entirely. Even thanked Mr. K for helping me understand the risks. I went quiet. But in the background, I was rewriting the entire system from scratch using a different programming language, changing the architecture, the interface, even the way it processed data. Functionally, it was the same, but legally, it was a different product. I also started documenting every little interaction with Mr. K, emails, meetings, Slack messages, everything. Meanwhile, I set up a shell company under my cousin's name and registered the software IP under that entity. Just in case. Then came the beautiful part. After I had my system fully reworked, I found a startup incubator in another city that loved the concept. They offered seed money and legal resources to help me build it out. I quietly resigned from the tech company 2 weeks later. Mr. K was surprised, but figured I'd gotten bored. I told him I was taking a sabbatical. 3 months later, my product launched in beta at a regional warehouse chain. Within 6 months, it was saving them millions in logistics costs. Word spread. We landed a deal with a major national distributor. Investors were knocking. Mr. K must have heard about it, because one day I got a cease and desist letter from my old company, claiming I had stolen their intellectual property. But I was ready. I handed everything over to my legal team: timelines, code comparisons, rebuild documentation, version control logs, even security footage showing me working on it in my home office. The best part? When their lawyers tried to subpoena the shell company, it came back under a different legal name entirely. My cousin had sold it back to me through a private equity agreement. Their case fell apart almost immediately. My system had too many differences, and the original was never officially claimed by the company. The court dismissed the claim with prejudice, which means they couldn't try again. But I wasn't done. Remember all those emails I saved? Turns out Mr. K had been taking credit for other people's ideas and funneling project failures onto junior staff for years. I sent an anonymous tip to our industry watchdog with documents, screenshots, and testimonials from ex-employees. A month later, an investigation was launched. Mr. K was quietly let go to pursue other opportunities. I heard through the grapevine he was working at a tiny IT consulting firm now, basically doing help desk stuff. Meanwhile, we were expanding to Europe. We've got a team of 25 engineers, and I'm finally doing what I love, on my own terms. But success, I learned, has a scent, and the vultures always smell it. A few months after our European rollout, we started noticing weird behavior from one of our warehouse clients. Their logs weren't syncing, the data seemed tampered with, and some of their internal reports looked suspiciously like our proprietary analytics but stripped of our branding. I sent in one of our tech leads to do a quiet audit. What he found was infuriating: they had hired a consultant to optimize my product. That consultant? Mr. K. Yep. The snake had slithered his way into a small third-party vendor we partnered with and was quietly reverse engineering our system. Not only that, he was trying to replicate the core algorithms and offer a competing product at half our price. He was using parts of my original system as a blueprint, claiming he had co-developed it before I left. And I knew why he thought he could get away with it: he believed I wouldn't risk bad press or client drama. He underestimated how far I was willing to go. I went nuclear. First, I contacted our legal team and triggered a forensic audit of every vendor connected to that client. Within 48 hours, we had proof that code fragments, specifically ones I developed in the original unreleased prototype, were inside the consultant's toolkit. That was our smoking gun. Second, I called the client's CEO personally. Laid everything out. They panicked. Not only had they unknowingly used stolen IP, they were now in breach of contract. I gave them an ultimatum: fully terminate their relationship with the consultant, issue a formal statement clearing my product of any wrongdoing, and agree to a new premium support package, or we walk. They folded. Fast. But I wasn't done with Mr. K. I tracked down where he was operating from, an underfunded IT firm in the outskirts of a business park, and sent a cease and desist with teeth. He didn't respond. So I did something petty. I bought the domain names for every potential product he was trying to launch, including ones he mentioned in presentations. Then I posted a detailed Medium article exposing the IP theft attempt, with redacted client names for legal safety. Investors and clients of his new firm pulled out. The company folded in under 2 weeks. Mr. K went dark online after that. Over the next few months, small things started happening. One of our potential European clients ghosted us mid-negotiation. A cloud computing partner suddenly hiked our rates, claiming internal restructuring. A VC we were close to sealing a deal with suddenly pulled out, citing concerns about founder credibility. It felt off, so I reached out to a consulting firm that deals with corporate risk to do a discreet look-through of industry chatter, and flagged something that chilled me. Someone had been whispering in back channels that I had a history of aggressive IP acquisition and toxic founder behavior. No one said my name directly, but the insinuations were obvious. I started reaching out to smaller clients who had worked with Mr. K in the past. Casually. No accusations, just catching up. And I started hearing stories. How he'd conned a family-run distributor out of tens of thousands for custom optimization, then vanished. How he'd stolen a prototype pitch deck and used it in a different country. How he was listed as non-rehirable at multiple firms. I began compiling. I created a quiet package. No names, just facts, documented IP theft, breach of contract, unreleased settlement terms, screenshots of unauthorized code use. I sent it anonymously to the top 10 VCs that Mr. K had ever been in a room with. Then I reached out to a compliance officer at the cloud platform he was courting, and I dropped just enough technical evidence to trigger an internal audit. I paid a third-party recruitment firm to contact him under the guise of a stealth hiring campaign for a major logistics player. They got him talking. Egotistical as always, he claimed he'd built the backbone of our product and had left due to creative differences. That conversation was recorded. That transcript now lives in a confidential HR file shared across 3 competing firms. I watched as Mr. K's LinkedIn went dead. His domain expired. His business email was suspended. No fanfare. No lawsuits. Just nothing. A few months ago, I got a LinkedIn message from an old coworker. "You broke him," it said. "He's applying to teaching gigs at community colleges now. Nobody will touch him." I should have felt bad. But honestly, I didn't. That man tried to rob me of everything. My work. My future. My identity as a builder and creator. And for what? Credit? Power? He thought I was just another code monkey. What he didn't know is that I never stopped documenting. Never stopped preparing. Never stopped sharpening the blade. And when someone tries to burn down what I've built, I make sure the ashes bury them. So what you think? What was your favorite or worst part? Share, like and subscribe for more.